James. Here we go. This is a collage of Williams and Chekhov to kind of do a little finale. There'll be a little reprise of the lady from Lux Prolotion. There'll be a little reprise of the proposal. There'll be a little reprise. Actually, there won't be. There'll be a little section from the Seagull, which you haven't seen today. There'll be some Uncle Vanya reprise. And we'll end with a piece by Mr. Oz about Mr. Williams for his 100th birthday, which we did when he was 100, and he's 104, so he's bringing it back. Here we go. Start with Lady of Locks for a lotion.
I've had very little experience with cockroaches in my life.
Who's at the door, please?
Me.
Oh, why, Miss Wire, I was just coming to your room to talk to you about something. Oh.
Yeah?
Well,
What about?
you see, Miss Wire, I just don't think that these cockroaches make the most desirable kind of roommates. Do you?
Cockroaches, huh?
Yes, precisely. Now, I have had very little experience with cockroaches in my life, but the few I have seen before have been the pedestrian kind. Well, the kind that walk. These, Miss Wire, are flying cockroaches. I was shocked. In fact, I was literally stunned when one of them took off the floor and started whizzing through the air, around and around in a circle, just missing my face by barely a couple of inches. Miss Wire, I sat down on the edge of this bed and I wept. I was just so shocked and disgusted. Imagine flying cockroaches. Something I never dreamed of being in existence, whizzing around and around in front of my face. Why,
Flying cockroaches ain't nothing to be surprised at. They have them all over, even uptown they have them. But that ain't what I wanted to come and talk to you about.
Well, no, now, Miss Wire, that may be true, but I must tell you that I have a horror of roaches. Even the plain old-fashioned pedestrian kind. Well, as for the kind that flies, if I'm going to stay here, these cockroaches have got to be gotten rid of.
Now, how am I supposed to stop them flying cockroaches from coming in through the window?
Well,
But that, nevertheless.
I don't know. There must be a method, Miss Wire, but they must be gotten rid of before I sleep here one more night. Why, if I woke up and found one in my bed, I'd have a convulsion. I swear, I'd simply die of a convulsion.
If you'll excuse me for saying so, Miss Hardshell Moore, you're much more likely to die from overdrinking than from cockroach convulsions. What do we have here? Oh, Lux lotion. Well,
I use it to take the old polish off of my nails.
very fastidious, yes.
What do you mean?
There ain't an old house in the quarter that don't have roaches.
Well, not in such enormous quantities, do they? I'll tell you, this place is actually growing with them.
It ain't as bad as all that. And, by the way, you ain't gonna pay me the rest of this week's rent. Now, I don't want to get you off the subject of roaches, but I'm here to collect the rent.
I'll pay you the rest of the rent as soon as you've exterminated these roaches.
You'll pay me the rest of the rent or get out.
Well, I intend to get out unless these roaches get out.
Then get out then and quit just talking about it.
You must be out of your mind. I can't get out right now.
Then what do you mean about the roaches?
Well, I meant what I said about the roaches. They are not, in my opinion, the most desirable kind of roommate.
Okay, don't room with them. Pack your stuff and move somewhere where they don't have roaches.
You mean that you insist upon having roaches?
No, I insist upon having the rent you owe me.
Right at the moment, this is out of the question.
Out of the question, is it?
Yes. And I'll tell you why. The quarterly payment that I received from the man who's taking care of the rubber plantation has not been forwarded yet. And, well, I've been waiting on them for weeks. And you see, there just seems to be a little problem with last year's taxes.
Oh, now stop it. I've heard enough of that goddamn rubber plantation. The Brazilian rubber plantation? I haven't been working here for 17 years without learning nothing about your kind of women.
What do you mean by that?
I suppose the men you have in here nights come to talk about the Brazilian rubber plantation.
Well, that is a crazy thing to say.
I hear what I hear, and I know what's going on.
Oh, I know you spy. I know you turn doors.
I never spy, and I never listen in the doors. The first thing a landlady in the French Quarter learns is not to see and not to hear, but only to collect the money. As long as that comes in, okay. I'm blind, I'm deaf, I'm dumb. But as soon as it stops, I recover my hearing and also my sight and also my voice. I'll go to the phone right now and call the chief of police, who happens to be an in-law of my sister's. I heard that argument last night over money.
What argument? What money?
He shouted so loud, I had to shut the front window to keep from the sounds from carrying out onto the streets. I heard no mention of any Brazilian rubber plantation, but plenty of other things that were plainly referred to in that little midnight conversation you had. Lots of lotion to take polish off the nails. Am I in my infancy? Am I? That's on par with the wonderful Brazilian rubber plantation.
To court? You can take it to court and all that. I know you. You're just looking for a chance to go to court. All your people are like that. You Lobos? Lunacy runs in all your family. Your grandfather is a drunkard.
Believe.
And your young aunt, Nastasia, she ran off with an architect. Your father? A guzzling gambler. But you? You're a double-faced intriguer, that's what you are.
Believe.
Do you remember you shot a seagull? One day,
No.
by chance, a man comes along and sees her, and quite idly he destroys her.
Elena?
An idea for a short story. No, that's not right.
No, it's not.
What was I talking about?
Seagulls.
Oh, acting. Acting, yes.
Yeah.
I'm not like that anymore.
I know, baby.
I've become a real actress.
Good. You don't need to say that
I
anymore.
take pleasure in my performances. I delight in them.
Take pleasure.
I feel like I'm in a state of intoxication up there.
Best to get drunk on
I
a
feel
chair.
like I am beautiful.
You are. Sit down. Relax.
I understand now, Kostya. I know now that in our work, and it makes no difference whether we're acting or writing, the main thing isn't the fame or the glory or all the things I used to dream about. It's the ability to endure.
I'm living.
Have faith.
Have faith. So do I.
For me, the pain is less.
Good. Don't go to your lunch tomorrow. It's such balls there. See here. I need you. They'll give you, you grab your rate on the subway to Gillette's. It's a backwater show. Let's go to Moscow instead, where all of these pathetic Russians are crying that they need to go. And I'll write the plays. We'll star in them. And I won't have to shoot myself in the head. Good. I'm glad we're getting on the same wavelength, because you know we've always been in love, right? Right? No? I think so. But you can go think about it for a bit. I got all the time in the world. Anyway, I will tell you, I felt fairly betrayed when you fucked the guy who's been fucking my mother. Really did a number on me. Get it? Now you can understand that at your vulnerable age of whatever you were. Truth is, honey, you were seduced by the promise of fame and power, and you let love go by the wayside. And that's why you had a bastard son by him, and why your life is in shambles. So you can come back to me to preach the gospel of the theater, but you never changed, and that's why I... So now we're both in hell. Maybe we can work it out here. Your move.
I, as a young teen in the early 60s, saw a sweet bird of youth, Paul Newman, at a dilapidated old movie theater in downtown West Palm, and was greatly affected by it, most deleterious. Thought I would be Chance Wayne in a few years. But the girl I chose for my heavenly wouldn't follow the script. Laura Lee. Oh, she was marvelously tan, lithe and blonde, a diver hoping to go to the Olympics. One line from that movie never left me. The great difference between people in this world is not between the rich and the poor, or the good and the evil. The biggest of all differences in this world is between those who have or have had pleasures in love and those who haven't or hadn't any pleasures in love. Just watch you with envy, sick envy. The spectators and the performers. I remembered it how I wanted to, as long, sleepless nights, making love, worshiping each other's bodies and every part thereof. Yes, it was as intense as that, but early high school tame compared to what we would do today, I'm sure. Well, we had our ups and downs, and I somehow was not her first. Her parents favored another and pushed him hard upon her. I frightened her. Still waters run deep, is what her mother told her, referring to me, and her mother's wish was anyone but me. One time, as her mother was driving us home from diving practice, out of the blue, she with dangerous intentions asked, "Are you a leg man or a breast man?" Now, why would her mother ask that? Before I could politely refuse to answer, my heavenly jumped into the trap. Oh, he's an in-between man. Her mother's toes must have curled a bit because the car picked up speed. Not abruptly, but more than gradually. An in-between man. That I was, but a worse answer could not have been given. Hard it had been for us to see each other after that, near impossible. But we found ways. After high school, colleges, many colleges, not finishing, I ended up in New York with some minor success acting. Thinking I would be a star and go back and bring her along with me. Instead, I was drafted. Headed home to be inducted. Night before, after a short session of love making, she pledged to wait for me. I told her no. She insisted. 4 months later, she was married. My mother sent the clippings to me where I'd been posted, our dry and dusty Southwest, where the first atomic bomb changed the world, with no Vietnam. Lucky me.
Found out later she was pregnant, obviously pregnant, when taking her vows. Mine thought that for years, decades later, her second husband filled in the details of her daughter's age, her birthday, relieving me of any and all concerns. 20 years later, I'm standing on the fantail of a cruise ship heading east towards Nassau. A weekend high school reunion for the more well-heeled. As the sun sets silhouetting Palm Beach in the distance, I watch as she appears, winding her way through the crowd of familiar faces, forgotten names, those I can't recall or never knew, making her grand entrance. A little heavier and older, but still appealing. Cantering over to me, smiling with sparkle and sorrow in her eyes. Sweet vinegar. Nothing's said till she whispers in my ear, I have always loved and will always love you. My new husband is the nicest man and treats me like a goddess. But I don't love him. He knows that. And even said it when proposing. It has always and only been you. No, she wasn't heavenly. In fact, she, like most women that interest me, had an edgy appeal from another place and of another sort. Dangerously enticing, inviting, luring me to the most assured destruction, and me willingly along for the ride. As she spoke these words, out of the corner of my eye, I saw him standing at a distance on the deck above, watching the two of us. A poor, sad soul, witnessing his wife's true behavior. Careful what you wish. He turned away for a moment and then turned back, but when he did, it wasn't him at all. It was me I saw, standing there on the upper deck, looking down on my wife, with her whispering all those lovely words into another man's ear. At least that's what I had crossed my mind. How lucky I was not to have married her. That's right, I never felt so lucky as at that moment, clearly seeing her true nature. And fool that I am for how I wasted all those delicious, deep sleep dreams on her. No, Laura Lee was no heavenly. And me, no chance. Shakespeare bar at the bar. Now and then we'll be focusing on Shakespeare in the studio. Not just Shakespeare, but we always put a focus on it in the spring, and then we'll be presenting it on that evening, Tuesday, June 23rd. That's a special night. Thanks. Happy holidays. Happy
Turn the lights I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out now. I have everything on. It's weird. I don't know.
Oh, my shoes? Hello?
No, just Saturdays, just Saturdays.
Francesco, your hat. You are so cool. Especially having a person moving around and keeping your concentration. Oh my God. Oh, you're amazing. Oh my God. What amazing.
Yeah, just Saturdays. Just Saturdays.
Okay.
Because I have dance on Wednesdays.
Oh, where do you dance?
I dance tap jazz.
I dance hip hop and samba. Well, different days. What is
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I don't know if it's a few apartment buildings, I don't know, but they're in private houses.